So we turn to Mr. Avi Melamed, founder of Inside, a Middle East Institute. Thank you so very much, Mr. Melamed, for joining us. Well, as we speak, Iranian media, Mr. Melamed, reporting that confirming that yesterday there was a meeting between Supreme Leader Khamenei and the head of the diplomatic branch of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran. And this is particularly interesting that the Iranian, the state-controlled Iranian media is reporting that since Tehran was trying to distance itself from the October 7th massacre, even though that it was clear it was behind it.
Yes, of course, this is part of the Iranian game. Look, I mean, following the speech of Hezbollah's leader, Nasrallah, last Friday, the reaction in the Arab world more or less are basically the same in the meaning that, you see, one of the major concepts that the Iranians and their proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, were constantly conveying and marketing to the Arab world was that in time of war, they will all join together, they will stand shoulder to shoulder, and they will fight against Israel until Israel is to be eliminated. Right now, Hamas is at war with Israel, and Hezbollah, the major proxy of the Iranians, and I would say Hamas mentor, Hezbollah is roughly speaking out of this war, at least not participating in full capacity as Hamas leader would have hoped to. So what I think is that the Iranians are trying to do some sort of like damage control in a way, even though it's obviously it's not going to change the mind of people in the Arab world. They know exactly the Iranian game. They know exactly they have been fooled by the Iranians and the whole story of liberating Palestine. Perhaps Haniyeh tried to say, to take something from this meeting with the Supreme Leader of Iran in terms of like more massively support of the Hezbollah and Hamas in the war. I doubt it's going to happen, at least for now. That's the way I read that meeting yesterday. And the bottom line, it definitely not going to make Hamas image in the eyes of the Arab world, which is already rock bottom. It doesn't not make that image better.
And yet, Mr. Melamed, if we learned anything in the past month is to listen to what the enemy is saying. And in this respect, Iran's intentions when it comes to Israel are clear. Hezbollah's intentions when it comes to Israel are clear. Perhaps we should not fall in love with the self-deception this time again.
Definitely. Look, I've been saying it all along. You know, I'm listening to Hezbollah.
Yeah.
The whole assumption is right now that the Hezbollah is not going to fully intervene in this war. And that assumption is a couple of good reasons to be based upon. That being said, and I've been saying all along, at the same time, we have to keep full preparedness 24/7. It has to be very clear to the Hezbollah and the Iranian that if they are going to fully participate in the war, what will be the ramifications and the repercussions. So it's not negating one the other.
Yeah,
definitely.
And in this respect, Mr. Melamed, the carrots are not working well here in the region rather. Sticks, however, very much so. And I cannot think of a bigger stick than a nuclear submarine.
Yes, Ali, you may remember that in one of our meetings, we were talking about the fact that the United States of America did the right move for a change this time, where from the first day, Biden administration basically sent a very clear message to Iran and Hezbollah, saying one word, don't, and backing that with military deployment on the ground. This is one of the reasons we talked about it, that to the best of my understanding, at least up until now, Hezbollah is not fully intervening in the war. Though the Hezbollah leader says that he is not impressed with the American military presence, he is very much impressed because he understands what's the ramifications of that. So in the end of the day, you know, I think it was President Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, that says, you know, walk around, speak softly, and carry a big stick. I would say, in a paraphrase of that, I would say, walk around, say one word, and make sure that everybody knows that if you're not going to obey, this big stick is going to be used. And I think that in that sense, for the time being at least, the United States of America can mark a significant achievement because of its policy vis-a-vis the crisis, meaning the United States of America for now has been able to rehabilitate its crumbling image as the leading superpower. Notice that the United States of America is the major player right now in terms of international factors in what's going on right in the region. China and Russia are kind of like on the sideline. And one interesting thing, at the first week of the war, when President Biden was here, he was supposed to meet the president of Egypt and Jordan, the king of Jordan and other Arab leaders. That meeting was canceled, among other things, against the background of the famous story of El Ahali Hospital. 2 weeks later, Blinken, the Secretary of State, is in the region. He's meeting with all the Arab leaders. And most significant, they are all basically conveying the one very clear same message. Hamas rule in Gaza Strip must come to an end. At this point, American administration is marking a very significant achievement, but here is something that is a but. The American administration must stick to the objective that the American administration himself was openly saying. Hamas rule in Gaza Strip must come to an end. Nothing less than that.
Yes, and Mr. Melamed, the concluding remarks of U.S. Secretary of State Blinken this afternoon, departing from Turkey to Japan, and this is interesting in the context of the global ramifications because Kyiv, Jerusalem, Taiwan, there's a very clear connecting line here. In his concluding remarks, Blinken said that if there's one thing that was heard very well throughout his tour here in the region is the desire of local nations to see the American involvement, the American presence here, the Middle Eastern quagmire. Not you want to get out, but it pulls you back in, right? Avi Melamed, founder of Inside the Middle East Institute. Thank you so very much, sir, for your time, for your insight. Pleasure to be speaking to you as per always.